Welcome to HOLDFAST, Episode 6, Epochalypse. Narrated by Jake Dowzell. Hosted by Erika Tobin and Tony Preston. A heavy feeling hangs in the air as the eclectic group of volunteers are escorted towards the fairy circle. Most of them are Fae, and those who are familiar with travelling to the mists, all with the exception of Datura Shinzo. Datura, Knight's commander and apprentice of Lord Water, has had a bit of a tense relationship with the Fae, and with the town of HOLDFAST in general. The black sheep of the party, he ignored the sideways glances of his companions. He could only imagine their confusion. His willing participation in anything to do with the mists was a shock, even to him. He had his reasons. Despite his gruff attitude and lack of social graces, HOLDFAST was his home, and he'd sworn to protect it. If that meant putting his ego aside and falling on his sword, he wouldn't hesitate. Before him, Lady Val led with an elegant confidence. Taking orders from anyone outside Degrin wasn't something he took lightly, but he'd have to trust her on this one. He had no idea what they were about to walk into. Once on the fairy trail, they waited intently for Lady Val's instructions. From her sleeve, she retrieves an ornate wand, beautifully decorated with flowers, the likes of which Datura had never encountered. She motions it in 7 large widowshin circles, touching upon 7 separate points in the ring. After some quiet chanting, she calls upon Fairy to answer. A shroud of thick, sweet fog slowly creeps out of the fairy ring and engulfs the party. Datura took a deep breath, steadying his heart after a jolt of adrenaline. The noise and commotion of HOLDFAST disappeared into the distance and turned to a calm silence. He noted how the landscapes around him remained the same, as if they hadn't gone anywhere at all, but instead the mists had made themselves a presence within the forests. One by one, Lady Val motions them to step further into the fog. First to go is Timian. He closes his eyes and tilts his head towards the sky. He's still for a while, but the time seemed to pass effortlessly. Next to go is Bikbun, a dwarf of the Ironbones clan. He repeats the same steps and returns to the line. Next is Hare, then Torvalis, and the others in the group, until at last they reach Datura. Looking to Val for confirmation, she smiles and waves him forward. Copying the others, he closes his eyes and tilts his head to the sky, waiting for something to happen. Suddenly, a powerful energy falls upon him and forces its way inside his mind. Fairy is rifling through his every thought, searching his morals and intentions. Though it is not painful, it is uncomfortable, invasive, and unsettling. After what feels like hours, they loosen their grip on him. He gets the sense it's now his turn to speak. He takes a moment to collect himself and begins his plea.
This is a matter of war. Our people stand on the brink of destruction, and we need a weapon. I see here smiths, council members, tricksters, farmers, madmen, and hunters. I stand before you as the only true warrior. I am human, and you are not my gods, but human and Fae alike are at risk of annihilation. I believe the only way to better myself and protect my people is to become a member of Fae itself. I have personally witnessed the power of the imps, and having one among our ranks would only increase our chances of succeeding in the oncoming battle. I am here to volunteer myself.
Fairy is still for a moment. It would seem that their pleas are being considered. A sudden feeling of restfulness washes over him, and in his mind, he hears a message.
something you do. Whether by yourself or united as a group, remember your strengths. Use your skills. What help we send will be there in time.
As the powerful presence of the mist slowly recedes, it leaves behind not only a sense of calm, but some strange gifts as well. Glowing orbs, evident but nearly intangible, lazily drift in the air before each member of the group. Datura reaches forward, allowing the orb to bind itself to him. Though it makes him feel a bit more powerful than usual, the ordeal has left him in need of some rest. As the weeks passed, Datura saw more and more the problems with the rifts coming to a head. For starters, those touched with psychic visions foresaw violence, great loss, and death. On top of that, the champions of the elements had received grave messages from their respective lords to prepare for war and protect the circles. Should they fall, all would be lost. Finally, Arden and Guruk had suddenly and unexpectedly been turned into imps. Though unclear if this was fairies doing or not, it seemed to confirm war was on the horizon. Usually, the knights and the brigade would take charge in the protection of Holdfast. However, this battle would be different. Every single person and skill would be needed if they were to see even the smallest amount of success. A meeting was called to strategize a plan. Holdfast would split into 3 groups. The first group would defend the circles on the northern side of town, air and fire. Group 2 would guard the southern circles, water and earth. The third and smallest group would consist of a support team, running back and forth between the 2 main groups, while keeping an eye on the more centralized fairy circle. Among the teams, medics, archers, mages, and heavy combatants were divided. Smiths were strategically planted throughout the grounds, made readily available for repairs. From across the room, Datura met the eyes of Asha Fairchild. She sat hunched, her elbows on her knees, a long braid dangling over her shoulder. She gave him a nod. Asha was the water champion, and he the apprentice. He heard the message loud and clear. The 2 would camp themselves at the circle and defend it. He returned a nod of agreement. The 2 have had their differences in the past, but when it came to defending their element, they made a hell of a team. With everyone in agreement, the meeting adjourned and dissipated into chatter. But before anyone could leave, a knight, clad in silver and red armor, entered the inn. Pierre, who had previously been absent, stood before the crowd and cleared his throat. The chattering quickly went silent. He had earned a great amount of respect within Holdfast, and when he had something to say, all listened. He explained that Fairy had sent a messenger, Siblessa, to deliver something of importance. In front of him he held a strange ball. It appeared to be a skin wrapped up like yarn. It was scaly, snakeskin-like, coloured gold and iridescent in its perfect patterns. Anyone with even the slightest skill in magic could tell there was something extraordinary about this item. Though she hadn't told him much about its makeup, it came with a basic set of instructions. Unravel the ball, and wrap it in a large circle around the creatures, and the rest would take care of itself. However, it came with warnings as well. The skin wasn't something to be handled lightly. Used incorrectly, it would ensure the destruction of the entire island of Anon. Secondly, if anyone should find themselves trapped within the ring, they would not return alive. Datura and all around him could feel the importance of what Pierre held. It could be the key to ending the problems with the rifts once and for all. As the patrons each took their turn studying the object, Datura's eyes were drawn to the window. In the distance, the trees began to shake. Emerging from the forests, massive, glowing white beasts trudged through the fog, heading straight for the water circle. Datura sprang to his feet, trailing closely behind Asher towards the circle. He watched as the alien-like creatures drew their large tendrils high into the air and viciously plunged them into the well of magical energy. Just the look of them was enough to make him sick to his gut, but as they drained the energy of the circle, he felt weakened as well. That night, 3 circles fell. Not even the arrival and assistance of the elemental lords themselves could save them. First was the fairy circle. Amidst the chaos, and perhaps to the ignorance of the townsfolk, its protection fell by the wayside. Next was the earth circle. Volk and Arden, champion and apprentice respectively, did their best to organize its protection. Its secluded and cramped location made its defense near impossible. The last to fall was the water circle. Datura and Asher resisted the demons for as long as they could, but it was not enough. Paralyzed a short distance away, they watched helplessly as the once beautiful glow of energy diminished into a flicker, and not long after, to nothing. Asher fell to her knees and wept. Datura was never good with words, consoling her with a simple hand on her shoulder. With tears in her eyes, she quietly gathered what arrows she could and ran to the air circle with a vengeance. Datura stayed behind, sifting the earth beneath where the water circle once laid between his fingers. Loss was nothing new to him, but it never got any easier. He sat, watching the ocean, contemplating for a moment the next steps. He searched his brain for answers. Could he somehow reopen the circle? Sweeping a piece of his jet-black hair from his forehead, he sighs. It felt hopeless. After a few minutes, he heard the booming voices of his brethren emerging from behind the inn. Asher and Oren, following a woman with a large silver staff, were calling all citizens to the center of town. Pierre stood on the outskirts, the ball in his hand, waiting for his cue. Datura jumped to his feet and gathered with the rest. The girl with the staff, he learned, had seen this type of thing before, and was sent by Lord Eyre to help them. Her instructions were simple. Get everyone the hell out of HOLDFAST as quickly as possible. The remaining elemental lords would do their best to cleanse the plane of the rift beings. Anyone left behind would perish. What happened next felt like a blur. Lord Earth and Air lured the beings into the center of the field, where Pierre wrapped the rope in a large circle around them. The woman with the staff led them further and further out of HOLDFAST, warning them to keep moving as fast as they could. The earth quaked and shook the citizens to their knees. Mountains were unearthed, roaring as they raised themselves out of the ground and high into the air. Tornadoes of flames scorched the land, destroying everything in their path. Tsunamis hundreds of feet tall rolled the shores, leaving behind wreck and devastation. The citizens stood in shock, traumatized at the sight. Just as suddenly as it had started, it ended. After about a minute of havoc, the mountains slowly found their way back to the chasms they left in the earth, the fires and tornadoes settled, and the waves receded back into the ocean. Soon, all was silent. Datura's heart pounded in his ears. He tried his best to catch his breath and orient himself, but the adrenaline coursing through his veins was never ending. the orb that had been bestowed upon him lifted off of his body and vanished into the ether. All of his magical abilities felt drained and nearly non-existent. He searched for Degrin, desperately needing some sort of leadership, but it was clear he would not get any. The group stared at one another, mouths agape, not knowing what to do next, not wanting to find out what had become of their beloved home.
Hi!
Hey everybody!
Welcome to the podcast, episode 6.
Of HOLDFAST.
Yeah, episode 6, right?
Yeah, this is episode 6.
We made it past the 5-episode bump.
Yeah, that was sort of half a milestone, I think.
That was kind of like where I wanted to get, to be like, is this podcast going to be like a sustainable, regular thing? And we made it to episode 5, now we're on episode 6.
It's looking good so far.
Yeah, I feel good.
Yeah, let's just make it episode 10 now. Get the double
Episode
digits.
10 is the next one, and then it's nothing else except for episode 100. Nothing else is a milestone.
Jeez, I can't even imagine that right now. Episode 100.
Oh gosh, let's not even.
Let's just get through this one.
I'm tired. So Epochalypse. This was actually technically 2 games ago because we missed a story last month because we were just kind of taking our time with this one. Epochalypse was a really good game for me.
Oh my gosh, it was a very satisfying finale to a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Rift arc was really great. I'm sure there's still going to be some remnants of it kicking around, but that was sort of the...
I mean, we're still feeling repercussions now into the games after it. We're 2 games after it now, and
Absolutely.
yeah, we're still feeling. But we'll discuss that afterwards. Yeah.
So...
But all in all, it was a good game.
It was really fun. Okay. Every game, unfortunately, we live in Newfoundland where the weather sucks and then the weather sucks some more. So, like, every game this summer, like, May game, freezing. What comes after May? June game. June game, freezing and a storm. July game, tailgate of a hurricane. Like, games have just been, like, the weather's been so bad that I haven't wanted to leave my tent too much. But as soon as all of the apocalypse stuff was going down, I was like, I don't care if it starts snowing right now, which was a possibility. I was like, I don't care. I am going out there. I am enjoying this. And I'm glad that I did because it was good. It was really good dramatic role play for me.
Oh, yeah. Everybody pulled out all the stops. Whatever tricks they had up their sleeves, every character used everything at their disposal. Everything at their disposal.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
One big thing, there's 2 fire mages, Jay and Torvalis, who are just the whole night going around multiplying people's powers.
Yep.
Just by insane amounts.
Yep.
Which was really exciting to be hitting for 52 bypass.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
I was hitting for 60 Sunder at one point. 60 Sunder. Oh
there
my
is
gosh.
nothing that will compare to that power.
Yep. We had our taste of power, and now it's gone.
So how was that game for you? What'd you get up to?
A lot of stuff happened in that game besides the Epochalypse stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Friday night. Okay, honestly, the first thing that I remember when game was called on Friday was just the constant paranoia, because oh man, like every game that we've played up until this game was leading to this one moment where it would be this big epic climax, and the air was just still.
Well, everyone started calling it the Epochalypse.
Yeah.
Like, it was, everyone was so nervous. When I was playing Sylvie, listen, I have my crazy theories about this, but when I was playing Sylvie, nobody actually died at the Epochalypse, did they?
No.
There was not one character death.
Nope.
And I remember when I was playing Sylvie, she was having her visions. I was role playing visions, and I was like, I foresee like a lot of loss, but I don't see like physical loss. Like, I don't think there's going to be that much bloodshed and death. And every other sidekick I spoke to about this was like, no, everyone's gonna die. I see so much death and murder and mayhem in the future. And I was like, I don't think anyone's gonna die. Nobody died. And listen, this is my thing. I have a feeling, because it's happened to me, this is completely sidetracking. When I read tarot cards in game, it's so fucking scary accurate. And I don't even really know much about reading tarot cards. I dabble. I honestly think that character's psychic. That's some crazy 1 a.m.
Maybe you're just psychic.
Maybe, like, I don't know. I've never tested it.
There's
This is some crazy
latent ability.
Yeah, this is 1 a.m. crazy Erika theories right now. Let's move on. But yeah. The feeling in the air was just like
you could cut the tension with a knife.
People were
butter
scared.
Knife.
People were scared.
Man, like every sound that I heard in the woods just made me twitch and look over in that spot. I was like, oh my gosh.
What just happened?
Yeah, like I don't know what to expect. And then lo and behold, the Shrike is what happened Friday, which for anyone who doesn't know, or anyone who's listening, there's this critter that's been bothering us for about a year now. And I mean, of course we didn't know what it was called at first, but we later discovered that it's called a shrike. And essentially what it is I believe you were describing it before as an interdimensional werewolf thing.
That's what I always thought it was. I remember at May Game last year when it showed up, people were calling it an interdimensional
I mean, to be
werewolf.
fair, it was furry. It was furry, it had claws, but I mean, like, it was still dark, you couldn't really see it.
It turns out it has a beak.
Yep, turns out it has a beak.
It's more like a humanized hippogriff type thing.
It's like
a wolf.
Something of an avian sort of variety,
Okay.
I guess. But yeah. So this thing has been bothering us for about, or was bothering us for about a year.
It warps in. It steals your shiny shit.
Yep.
Like your swords and all that good stuff, and then it takes off.
Yeah, we found out later that it was attracted to sharp objects and like edges and pointy corners and stuff, right? And it's just drawn to that sort of thing. That's why it's a really cool mechanic.
It's cute though, because in real life, birds are attracted to shiny things, specifically shiny things, not swords, like specifically, but that's cute. I wonder if they did that on purpose.
They definitely
They
did.
probably did.
Rob does the monsters, and he does not make a monster without a purpose.
True. So you guys took care of the Shrike. I remember that happening.
It was a long time coming. That thing took my sword. It's still gone.
Yeah.
But it's been stealing weapons for about a year, and we were so angry at it. But this one night it appeared, and we were like, "This is the night we get it." And I remember, I think it was Dagrin, Oren, Pierre, and Volk were actually up into the woods looking for this thing.
They were up in the woods for a good couple of hours, it seemed like. I remember a bunch of us were like, okay, best thing we can do is sit at all of the trailheads. So anywhere that anybody could exit from the trails in the woods, let's just sit here and guard them. And we were there for a while. Yeah,
we were there for a while. Like, they couldn't find it up there. It had gotten to the point where I was like, okay, I'm just going to go up and see if I can help in any way. So I was walking up slowly, and they were just like, they were hunched over and crawling through the woods, carefully trying to find this thing.
Yeah, they were.
And the Shrike has a nasty ability where it can just sort of like blurp in and out of existence, like sort of like ethereal shifting. Like, if you've ever watched Lord of the Rings, when Frodo puts on the ring, he goes, right, and turns ethereal. This thing could sort of do that as well.
I do that in real life, but my interdimensional plane is my house.
Oh, dear.
Alright, so Shrike was taken care of. Did you guys beat it? Yes.
Yeah, it sort of went out into the field, and I think Iris, a character at the LARP, one of the new characters at LARP, hit it with a slow spell, and it worked, turned out. And that's when, I remember being in the field. I actually didn't participate much in killing the thing, because I arrived a little late. But I remember walking up to it, and just as I was about to hit it, Dagrin pulled out his sword and called for 85 mauling bypass, hit the thing, and then it dropped down, dead.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, number one, go Iris, because that's badass.
Yeah.
But Oren Oren has that spell. Why didn't he think it? What, he never tried that on him before?
No, I guess not.
Oren, I'm disappointed in you. We went on all these big rants about how cool you were, and you didn't even try your slow spell. Okay, yeah, so that night, Friday night I didn't do much, because, like I said, like, the weather's just been bad, so I remember Friday night I just kind of did a little bit of RP, did a little bit of Shrike guarding for you guys, and then I went to bed early. Also, Friday has just been... I'm always so tired come Friday game, for some reason this year, like, well, not for some reason, like, because literally we leave everything for the last minute. And then by the time we get out to game and get everything set up, we're like dead inside.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, that night I went to bed. I don't really have that many Friday memories. I have a lot of Saturday memories though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, a lot of stuff happened Saturday too. Mm-hmm. Well, at least for me, I was I got up after breakfast and stuff. Someone came into town. I think the character's name was Ross or something. Anyway, point is, he was actually teaching falconry, and that's how I learned falconry.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I think it was Torvalis and I were just spending 30-45 minutes just learning falconry from this one person that came into town, and there was a wild falcon just coming around, and she tamed it enough for it to listen to her and for us to observe it, and so we just sort of spent our time learning falconry that morning, which was really cool. Yeah, I remember that same falcon was attacking random people, and it was going after Dagrin. And Dagrin, I don't know if Dagrin had any of his equipment, but he was just sort of running away. But of course, the falcon was played by Rob, who is absurdly fast. So Michael stood no chance.
I don't even try to run away from Rob. I just if I'm playing my sidekick character, I'll just sudden clarity until Rob decides to leave me alone.
Yeah, there is no escaping.
No, it's pointless.
No.
You can try your best. Yeah, that Saturday during the day, I don't think I got up to much. I think the glowing thing happened.
I was actually asleep for that. See, okay, you know how you say you get really tired during Friday?
You get tired during Saturday.
I get tired
day.
during Saturday.
Yeah,
day. I take a really long nap midday.
Oh, I think this game was Jesus. It's a turtle.
It was Friday night. I remember after we had killed the Shrike.
Can I please do the impression?
Yes.
Can I? Okay, let me tell the story from my point of view. All right, so it's late Friday night. Aaron and I are laying in our tent. We're out of character. We're just like having a chat, getting ready to go to sleep. He and I are like at that point where we're like, okay, let's stop talking. Let's actually sleep. So we're just laying there, and our camp is right next to the Knights camp where you guys camp. So we're just laying there in silence, and all of a sudden we hear Krond go, Jesus! And Oren just goes, what was it? And he just goes, it's a turtle. And as I'm telling the story, it may not be as funny over a podcast, but just, Jesus, it's a turtle. Like, you sounded so mortified and tough. Like, you said, like, because Krond has a very, like, I'm a tough guy voice, so for him to just be like, Jesus! I don't know, we just fucking die.
Yeah, I walked out of the Citadel, and this was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I thought everyone was done for the day. I thought cast was out. We were just sort of doing our thing, and I was about to go to bed. I walk out of the Citadel, and keep in mind that it's pitch black at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Out of the darkness, I see this thing waddling its way towards me on the ground, and I'm like, Jesus! And Oren's like, what was it, Krond? And by this point, I had ran out to the trail, and I was like, it's a turtle. Scared the crap out of me.
We did not stop quoting that the entire weekend. Sometimes we still do. Because that was a great moment. What were we talking about though? Oh yeah, the glowing thing happened. Okay, so it's touched on briefly in the story. But there just wasn't enough time to really like get into the logistics of everything that happened while still making the story make sense, because these stories, there's so much happening in game and you want the story to just be like one cohesive narrative that you just can't get to everything.
I think part of the problem with that is so much stuff happens in game
to so many different people.
Exactly. There's 40 characters being played at this game, and you're going to hear like sort of the same retellings, and you're going to hear stuff that you didn't know even happened from everyone's point of view. And I mean, trying to fit everything into a cohesive story just between you and I it's difficult to do.
Exactly. So there, like, we'll get into it at the end of the podcast, but there are going to be some changes in that respect, but yada, yada, yada. Anyway, so one thing we sort of touched on a little bit in the podcast, but never got into fully in depth, which I would have liked to get into, was the whole fact that Arden and Gurok were turned into imps.
Yeah.
So, the game before Epochalypse, Lady Val gathered some volunteers to take them to the Mists to ask to be turned into imps, because imps have special powers. They can negate the magic of the rift creatures, which is obviously, if we're about to fight a bunch of rift creatures, we would like everyone to be imps if we could. So they went to Fairy and they asked for imps. Gurok and Arden didn't go. That's one thing. So that was one thing that was interesting about the whole scenario. But then during the day on Saturday, I was playing Sylvie, and I got pulled into what I now refer to as the ye ol' gloin spot. I don't actually refer to it as that, but it's that place where the gloin things happen. Gloin are these weird insect-looking fey creatures that are like kind of evil.
They're kind of like a cross between.
They're like cultists.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're essentially just humanoid moth people.
Yeah,
Like, they have
they're weird.
And
We should dedicate a whole episode to that weird ass gloin game that we played.
I swear to God, if any like muggle had come by while we were in the middle of that gloin thing, they would have thought we were like summoning some dark magic or
We
something.
would have been arrested for sure. They're definitely like, there's a baby in the middle of that circle and it's getting sacrificed. So yeah, basically the gloin came. They took a few of us. The gloin have the power to change people into different sorts of fae,
which is weird, but
yeah, and they basically just like kidnapped a few of us, took us to the gloin hut spot that we usually go to when they are in town, and turned Gurok and Arden into fae. And we didn't know if it had anything to do with Fairy. We didn't know if Fairy had sent them. We didn't know why they picked Arden and Gurok.
Yeah, they came in.
I mean, they're two good choices, absolutely. But yeah, they came in, did the switch, and then they were gone, and we were confused as to why that happened. And yeah, so that kind of, we touched on it a little bit in the story, but it didn't really make it in there the way that I would have liked it to in a perfect world. But I could honestly write a book with everything that happened at the Apocalypse.
Oh my gosh. So we had a couple new imps, which was great.
Yeah, that was like the main thing that happened to me on Saturday was the gloin encounter.
The main thing that happened to me on Saturday before the climactic battle, which we'll get into, is the lizard folk mod.
I think I was asleep for that.
Possibly. I didn't participate in the mod much because I got frickin' kidnapped.
By who?
It was. The person that plays Arden, he was casting for that, and he hit me with a sleep gas or something. I was just in the inn, minding my own business, doing my cron thing, and then in comes Arden's lizard folk NPC, walks up, and I'm like, hi. And he goes, sleep gas. I'm like, oh, come on. So I get knocked out. A couple people get knocked out in the end, actually. But, of course, he takes me, drags me outside, and while I'm outside, it turns out there's, like, a party of lizard folk that had shown up at this point. I was unconscious. I think the other character that was being dragged out with me was Iris. He just sort of threw me on the ground, went out to fight some other people, and then Hugo's Lizardman NPC came up and just goes, knockout on me again, just to like double tap me, make sure I don't get up. So he leaves Iris in like face down in the grass, takes me, brings me up into the woods, and throws me down on the ground, where there is a lizard folk bard just sort of dancing around in spot, doing its thing, giving the other lizard folk buffs.
I missed that.
Yeah.
Who was... Okay, no, don't answer that question. But that's... That's amazing.
This was like a freaking raid party of lizard folk. They had kidnapped me, Krond. They had kidnapped Kikit, and they kidnapped Gurok.
Did they delimb you?
They delimbed me. The motherfuckers started eating my arms and legs, and they did the same thing to the other two. We were just sort of like nuggets up in the woods, not doing anything.
Game is such a mess sometimes. Like, what is happening?
I was up there the whole time. I don't know what went on in the field. I just know there was like easily over half a dozen people playing these lizard folk going into town, messing stuff up, and we were just. Luckily, when they ate us, we weren't bleeding out because their saliva actually stabilized the wounds, right? So we weren't bleeding out. It was nice, but I was.
You still had to get that regrown.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember if this was Apocalypse game or last game, but I remember laying in my tent and somebody. No, I think that was last game actually. But we eventually had this meeting.
Are you talking about the meeting before the climax?
Yep, this was sort of
like our strategy meeting?
Yeah, this was sort of, I would say this is around early evening, like maybe sometime around 4 or 5.
I actually think it was sometime around...
Was it later? I can never tell because the days are so long.
It was getting dusk out, right?
Was it?
Yeah, it was, because it was starting to get dark. So I think it was actually somewhere around maybe 6:30, 7 o'clock.
That's funny because I remember it being brighter out, and I remember thinking, this is weird because cast usually doesn't do anything crazy till it's dark.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess it was kind of later in the evening, and then yeah, we had this meeting where we all yelled at each other. That's how I like.
That's basically how all our meetings go, anyway.
Well, okay. Here's the thing about a game with 40 people, and this is something that a lot of. Well, myself and a lot of other players have noticed about meetings that happen in Epoch. It is so easy to get off topic and start on different topics and get caught up in semantics. So much so that you can practically get away with murder.
LOL.
So basically, like, if you want these meetings to happen in an organized fashion, somebody has to start yelling orders.
Well, someone has to take charge of something. I actually think we were, as far as meetings go, this was one of our more organized
That was
meetings.
a really good one, yeah. It happened. We were like, here's our plan. Here's what we're going to do. And we cut to the chase and we got it done.
Yeah, it was a solid, like, half hour of meet time. Mm-hmm. Meet time? Meeting? Anyway.
I love meat time.
Yeah, me too. Meat time is every time.
Steak and sausage.
I had steak today. I'm getting off topic. Yeah, so basically it was just a half hour of us sort of formulating some sort of strategy. I mean, we don't know what's going to come through the rift when the final battle starts, but I mean, we can at least sort of like get something organized. So we basically, what happened was we divided the forces of HOLDFAST into 3 teams. Okay. Mm-hmm. One team would hold up by the air and fire circles down by the inn. Mm-hmm. The other team would focus on defending the water and earth circles over on the other side of the field. And the third team was a group of runners, which was sort of like our go-between. They had the job of assisting and passing along messages, right?
Sort of. Okay, basically, you would not say it from the story. But my character, Asher Fairchild, if you didn't know that already, was actually, it sounded like in the story, because I was too lazy to clarify, that she was part of the water and earth circle team, which is mostly true. Mm-hmm. But Oren and I have this really great ability that I don't want to spoil for any players. We have this really great ability that we can use while we're together. So I was actually on the running team. Mm-hmm. So while I stuck by the water and earth circle mostly, I was also running back and forth between the other circles because obviously with Oren as air champion and myself as water champion, we were separated.
Yeah.
And we needed to be together to make that power work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was actually on the running team. So runners were still a defense team for the most part. There was also some medics on there, but we were also trying to keep an eye on the fairy circle. Mm-hmm. But I didn't do a whole lot of that.
Actually, I remember in the meeting, we sort of like
Yes.
blew off the fairy circle. We're like, they're not gonna go for that. Turns out that was one of the first things they went for.
Fairy Circle fell first because we were like, I don't really think they're going for Fairy Circle. Is that really like the same thing as the other circles? And we were like, yeah, probably not. Just keep an eye on it or whatever. Like, just make sure it's fine. It's probably okay. And then it was the first one to go down. But listen, okay, the circles that went down, it's so funny. Fairy Circle went down, which is like, it's impossible to do any kind of combat up by Fairy Circle because you're so close together up there.
Frickin' tell me about it. I've got like a frickin' 6-foot sword and I can't swing it.
It's like, it's impossible to do anything up there. Same thing for Earth Circle. It's a little bit better up at Earth Circle, but like, especially in the dark, like, you can't maneuver up there. Like, I was literally, this is like, I wasn't like pulling back my bow to full power. I was literally just kind of like pulling it back just like a couple of inches and then just like firing arrows because it was so close knit at the Earth Circle that I couldn't like fire at full power without hurting anyone.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, like throughout the night I was like, we should like keep this in mind that like the circles that are harder to defend are ones that it's harder to get lots of people up at. So we should probably keep an eye on Fire Circle. Mm-hmm. I thought that was going to be the next one to go. Water Circle, which is the most fucking open circle on the whole site, just had to go down. I was so unhappy about it.
Yeah, it was. Oh man, it was a really hectic night.
It left me for some really good RP though.
Hell yeah.
I always try to take my negatives in game and turn them into a positive. Water Circle went down. Nobody likes to lose in a LARP. I say that with quotes because there's no really such thing as winning and losing in a LARP. Like, LARPing is literally just like life basically. But anyway.
Yeah, like I said before in a previous episode, for me it's really just about surviving at this point.
Exactly. Well, yeah, for you, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, like the Water Circle going down was a big loss for my character. But you just turned lemons into lemonade, baby. I just like my eyes welled up. I was like, and I like picked up all my arrows and I was like, one more fucking circle goes down, blah, 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 blah. I can't even remember what I said, but I looked at Tatura and James was just like, okay. And I just like ran to the air circle and I was like, I will kill everything. So I just like turned it into some sick RP. It was all good. Oh yeah, are we going to talk about next game too? Are we going to talk about July game? Okay, I'm just gonna touch on July game for a moment. So so basically these circles. Okay, before we get into this, we should explain. These circles are basically wells of magical energy that were set up by the citizens under the assistance and guidance and direction of the elemental lords.
Yeah, these circles each have their own elemental attributes. We have the fire circle, the air circle, the earth circle, and the water circle. And each one represents an element of mana, an element of magical power, right? Mm-hmm.
And there are these ethereal lords?
Something like that, yeah. Like
I don't really quite know, like...
I sort of view them as avatars, I guess, like physical manifestations of each individual circle. So Fire Lord is, of course, the elemental lord of fire, lord air, representative for air and water.
They're like from what I've been able to gather in game, this sounds bad. This sounds like I don't know what they are. Which, like, I kind of do. Like, they're basically like the embodiment of their element.
Yeah.
In both body and personality and spirit. But, like... like, what are they? Where do they live? Like, this is what I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've always just assumed they've lived on, like, the elemental plane of whatever the heck they're from. So, like,
yeah, like the water plane, right?
Yeah, water plane, the elemental plane of earth, air, fire, whatnot. I've just assumed that's where they live. I've assumed that they're, you know, the lords of that plane. They just sort of, like, pop in and out every now and then. They were actually a really big key piece to the fight. That happened at the Epochalypse.
Yes. All of the lords showed up.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like, it's kind of a rare sight.
It doesn't happen, which is why when the...
I've only seen it twice in game before. I saw it Once remember last year when they showed up to talk about tethering the points, and I was named water champion and Arden was named apprentice, and all that's one time I've seen them show up. And then I think the only other time I've seen them, I saw Air show up for Alex once, and I saw Earth show up to scold Volk once.
Yep.
Because Volk's a bad egg.
But we've never, besides that one time, we've never seen them all appear at once.
They showed up.
And they were a big... It
was no joke.
Let me just say that this final battle in the Epochalypse was so long. It was like 3 or 4 hours. We were well into the night before this thing was finished. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, basically they showed up and...
They had the power to suppress the element... They had the power to suppress the rift creatures, right?
Right.
So normally, we figured this out a little ways into the fight, but when the fighting actually started and the rift creatures came into town and they were wrecking shit, they weren't actually like being affected by any of our weapons. We knew that bypass could work, and we knew that sunder damage could work.
Yeah.
So that was freaking great.
That was awesome because that's me and you on a plate right there.
Right there.
Bypass and Sunder. Oh, yeah.
So we figured that was one of the only things that could work against them. But when the elemental lords arrived, they had the power to suppress the rift creatures, which sort of like halted them in their tracks, crippled them, and it was at that time that they could be hit and hurt by anything.
I also just want to mention that they were healing health, number one, but also armor throughout the night, and that was that was amazing.
Yeah,
I was
that's actually
Dankeschön. I was like, thank you so much.
that was actually part of the strategy when we were in the inn making formulating the strategy. We had to make sure that at each point of the fight in the air and fire teams there had to be
a smith down
there. There had to be a healer. There had to be a medic stationed there, just in case like people had to be brought back for medics and stuff. There had to be at least a couple psychics on each team.
Yep.
We had to divvy the forces up evenly and equally, right? So each team had a forge and a smith and a healer and a medic and all that stuff, and just it was 3 hours of going back and forth.
Yeah.
In and out of battle.
Listen, everybody pulled out the stops. It was I pulled my necklace, at the end I pulled my necklace, which is like a big deal.
Yeah.
Everybody pulled out the stops and used every bit of the power that they had, but if the elemental lords didn't show up, we would not have been looking so hot.
Oh my gosh, no.
I would have had armor for the first 10 minutes I lost my armor.
I have to actually give credit to Hassan because
Hassan and his old character, Yago, two of my most favorite characters that have ever existed in the game of Epoch, but continue.
Okay, so basically, after we had figured out that one of the only things that could hurt these things before the elemental lords suppressed them was my sunder damage and bypass damage, right? So Hassan was like, okay, so I just need to make sure that Krond is, up and attacking these things. So for the longest time, I would be fighting these things, and then I'd go down, and then Hassan would just show up right behind me and go, I'll heal you for a bunch, and hit me with an essence mana, and then I'd get up, and it was just this, for a half hour, this constant stream of me going, go down, Hassan, heal, I go down, heal,
He kills it. He really does.
Yep.
I was basically clinging to any kind of healing that anyone would give me. I was carrying around a bunch of mana, but I'm a mage. I'm especially a water mage. I have a lot more water spells and power in water, but I have just a little tiny bit of healing with earth. So much so that if I heal you for earth, it's just enough to get you up and get you off the field. It's not anything that's gonna do anything great.
Yeah.
So I was just carrying around a bunch of earth mana, and I would just look for earth mages and be like, "Hi, I have mana. Please help me." I was just clinging to life that. Because those rift creatures were not playing. They were just point casting for insane amounts of damage.
Yeah.
Lady Val, oh my gosh, let me tell this story. I was about to shoot an arrow. I was strung up and ready to go. And this feels like I'm picturing it in slow motion. Like, that's how weird I am. Picture this in slow motion. The void creature was like, they're basically point casting, so they could just look at you instead of like having to throw a mana at you. They could just look at you and you take that damage. Like, fuck you, you're dead.
Oh my god.
They were just, it was awful. They were just slow motion, like going to point at me, and they were like 20 void. They were gonna hit me for like 20 void bypass damage, like just a crazy amount of damage. And Lady Val leaps in front of me and takes the hit. I was like, damn, girl. It was crazy. It was really cool.
Oi.
So yeah, it was basically a lot of that. I was hitting for crazy amounts of damage. We were all hitting for crazy amounts of damage.
I think you and Jaya were the only elemental champions that pulled their necklace. Which, for a little bit of background...
That's because we are the most passionate. Sorry, continue.
For a little bit of background, every elemental circle has an elemental lord. And every elemental lord has an elemental champion that they pick from the town.
Exactly.
Right?
They anoint a champion. You're going to represent my element, yada, yada, yada.
So for water, you are the water champion.
Only because I had one more spell over Datura. Otherwise, it would have been Datura.
Oh boy.
Volk is the Earth champion. Okay, well, we should mention the apprentices as well. Datura is the water apprentice under me. Arden is the apprentice under Volk. Mm-hmm. Then there's Jaya is the fire champion with... I don't know if they have an apprentice.
I don't know if they have an apprentice. I know Torvalis used to be the fire champion. He's not anymore. I don't know if he's the apprentice now, but I don't think he is.
And then there's Orin, who's my in-game husband. Hi, hun. There's Orin is the air champion. I don't know if he has an apprentice either.
I think Iris might be the air apprentice now.
Love that.
Yeah.
I love that. She's just making waves.
She's just killing it, man.
Yeah, she really is.
But yeah, so basically each elemental lord gives their champion a necklace, right? Mm-hmm. And this necklace is sort of like it's a special magical item. It's almost like an artifact. It has the ability of, if you break this necklace, it's a one-time use. If you break it, you can cast a couple of spells for
You get a couple extra spells. You get unlimited mana. Basically, I can... Don't quote me on this. I had my my necklace pulled and I used it like a little bit, so don't quote me on this. But you can basically like pick up water mana off the ground and use it.
Oh, dang.
I hope that's right.
I always thought
that's what I was doing.
Yeah. But yeah, like you get a couple extra spells. You basically sort of get unlimited mana. And
you go up to tier 10 of your element.
You get max level in your element, and just for the duration of, I think it's the battle or a set period of time.
It's 1 hour.
You are a freaking boss.
It's not even, okay, so like they're, like the earth one and the air one are way better. Like water's okay, but water's more of a, water's like a weird magic where it's more like, it's more of a manipulative magic. It's more used to manipulate people and things rather than battle with it. Like, I don't know what fire does. I haven't read enough about fire to like really know about it.
Well, I'll tell you what, the reason why I was hitting for absurd amounts of Sunder was because Jaya pulled that necklace and she had stacked her tiers of power with Torvalis's and Lord Fire, because Lord Fire was on the battlefield too. The three of them sort of combined forces and stacked all of their tiers of power, and they were like, with fire I enchant your blade frickin' 40 points. And then I was already hitting for like 20 because of my rage. Yeah. Which, by the way, I did not exit rage mode for 3 hours. I was just in a constant state of fury.
I would be so tired. After 10 minutes, I'd be like, I need to go lay down and have a cry. And then have a nap. And then have a snack.
Just filled with energy.
So, after all of that... I mean, hopefully all of that makes more sense now. Is there anything else you want to mention about elemental lords or magic?
Well, nothing besides, it was a hard battle fought. The elemental lords did their thing. We killed a bunch of rift creatures. Sadly, in the end, right out of the gate, these rift creatures were just gunning for these elemental circles.
They were, can I just describe what they looked like? It was... Okay, the two that stick out in my head the most, because we had some other costumes going on from other cast members as well, but Sharon and Rob were in white skin-tight morph suits with white pool noodles, like, wrapped in...
some sort of, like, white tape or something like
yeah. And they were just running around the field, and, like, these pool noodles, they were, like... like, it was
sort of
insane.
like watching a wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube, man.
Yeah, like, it was crazy, and it was, like... At the time, it wasn't funny because I was like, oh shit, they're going right for my circle. I need to go kill these. Oh my gosh, they're so powerful, I'm dead. It wasn't funny at the time, but thinking back on it, it was like the most insane thing. And they also had these, am I picturing this wrong? They had like these visors over their face too.
They had like full face mask visor type things.
Could be a very cool like electro band. They could be some very cool electro DJs. I don't know I'm not hip with the times.
We old.
I'm old. Yeah, that's what they looked like. Basically, at the end of the night, as you heard in the story, Pierre had this ball of skin, which we believe came from one of the fairy lords. The elemental lords that were left, so it was Lord Earth and Lord Air, I believe. Those were who were left at the time. They drew a bunch of these rift creatures into the center of the field. Pierre wrapped this skin around them, and then I don't know what happened next because I got the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
Like we just ran.
Like we were told as soon as Pierre starts doing this thing, we had to get the fuck out of Dodge.
Mm-hmm.
So we were all over by the Knights camp. Like everybody in town was over by the Knights camp.
And there was... sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm the worst.
Oh dear.
I interrupted you. I'm so sorry.
You realize, of course, now I'm going to have to kill you.
I mean, valid. But this, I just want to make a little note about this meeting. As we were all standing by the Knights camp, waiting for Pierre, it was like 2 minutes. And I think about 6 people threatened to kill other 6 people.
What?
Because there was so much drama. Okay, here's what happened. Basically, I'm standing there at the top. I'm trying to like take a role in this to like get everybody out of the town. Like I'm doing my RP best. I'm like, I'm gonna help everybody. I'm gonna be helpful Asher today. I'm not gonna be mean Asher today. I'm gonna be so helpful, but like in Asher's way. And Lady Val is like forlorn because like first her circle went down, and then she left her fairy wand, which has now died. She left her fairy wand in the inn, and she's like, oh my gosh, like, and you know Lady Val, she's like queen of the fae. She's fucking Lady Val. She's like Miss Elf, who's just everything.
Yeah.
She's like, I've let fairy down, like, you can see the tears in her eyes. She's like, I have to go back and get it. I can't leave this town without going back and getting my wand. And I have an arrow knocked, and I'm like, you can try. But if she was to go back in town to get that wand, she would have died.
She would have, like, straight up died.
So, literally, my own, like, I have nothing else except my bows and arrows. Like, Asher is not that skilled outside of that. So I'm like, if anyone tries, and then Kikit's like, no, you stay here, like, I'll go get it. And then other people are like, I can run really fast, like, I'll go get it. And I'm like, y'all are not getting this. None of you are
Pretty
going.
sure I was one of those people, because I was like, I think I can make it to the inn and back in like 20 seconds. I'm okay.
I was standing at the top of this trail like, if any of you go back, you're going to die, and that's not happening tonight. So I'm literally there with an arrow knocked, ready to put it in Lady Val's cute little face. Like, she's just small and cute, and I'm like, I can't let you leave. Like, I'm not letting anyone go back. I'm not letting anyone die.
Yeah.
So I have like an arrow knocked, and I'm like ready to fucking fight everybody, because I know if I shoot Lady Val to like get her into her bleed so I can pick her up and take her out of town, like that was the plan.
Yeah.
Put them in their bleed so they're unconscious, take them out of town. If I do that, everyone's going to kill me. So I'm just like, how many arrows do I have? Like, oh my gosh, there's so many that I've lost. Like I have like 5 left. Oh, okay, like how many people? 1, 2, 3, 4. Like how many? Like what's like the most amount of damage? I can like planning this in my head, and then Timian just comes up. I'm like fighting with Lady Val. I'm like, you're not going, and Timian just comes up and he's like, with water, I command you to comply. And she's just like, okay.
Does that even work?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's the beauty of water magic. You just, like, it's manipulable.
I thought that spell had to specifically be, like, a physical action.
No, it's with water, I command you to...
A word.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it can only be one word, but comply is one word.
Dang. Okay.
So that was a really great moment for me, too. Like, I just love, like, a good, like, dramatic argument moment.
Oh, yeah.
It was a fun time.
Basically, so what happened after that, once we had all decided, okay, so we're not going to go back, it was at that point that I think Pierre came back and he was like, all right, it's done, let's go.
Yeah, Pierre.
And so we were like, okay. So we all about face and just take off out of town.
When you see the flailing Frenchman, you run.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then we ran up the trail to the Earth Circle. It was very muddy.
Oh my god, it was so muddy. Like, I got mud all the way up to my freaking shins. I'm not even exaggerating.
How?
It was because I fell in a hole.
Oh.
There was a hole. And of course I was the one to fall in the hole.
Tony, you took one for the team. And that's what
I
you
was
do.
at like the head of the crowd, and we were all just heading up this muddy path. And so we get so far up the path, and Sharon, the AD, tells us to stop, look behind us, and then she starts describing the scene of what's happening. And basically, what Pierre had done was sort of like I guess it was a ritual or something, but it had sort of created this bubble around HOLDFAST, a barrier, if you would, and contained the rift creatures inside. And we were outside the barrier, so we were observing it from the outside. And basically, on the inside, there was just this calamity of elements. There was fire, water, earth being torn up, typhoons of wind, and I'm assuming the elemental wards have been like, all right, just blast them.
Just let's do our thing.
Yeah, and so just...
Was it just inside? Yeah, it was just inside the bubble of HOLDFAST. Okay, that makes sense.
And then at the end of the day, that's pretty much what killed them.
It was that was a really cool RP moment too, because as Sharon is describing this, number one, nobody's moving a muscle. Everyone's literally still looking back over HOLDFAST, or like what they can see of HOLDFAST. Everyone is dead still and dead silent except for like heavy breathing.
Yep.
It was so intense. It was like you could hear a pin drop.
Yep.
It was a really, really great moment.
And then when she finished describing the scene, there was a moment of silence, and then I remember just all of us going, yes! And there was just this big uproar of cheering, and we're like, we freaking did it! We saved the world!
We're like, let's go back and see who's dead.
Yeah, really.
I left one of my... Okay. When I didn't even think about it, because I don't think. Fun fact about me. When we showed up to log at game, that's like basically we just like pay and get our character sheets, yada, yada, yada. Sharon was like... so where is Sylvie going to be on this weekend? Because we all knew the apocalypse happened. So she was asking, like, so who are you going to be playing on Saturday night? And I said Asher, and she said, okay, so, like, where is Sylvie going to be? And I was like, I haven't really thought about it. I guess she'd just be sleeping in her cabin. Like, Erika, like, she's supposed to be out of town. Like, dummy. And Sharon just looks at me and she goes, okay, so she's sleeping. And I was like, oh no. I guess. Luckily, I was able to roll to see if she lived or died. I actually kind of preferred that she died, but she didn't. But I got to roll to see if she lived or died. And she lived. So that was good.
Yeah, that's...
My character lived. I think some characters may have died. Some secondary characters who were left behind in the inn.
I'm not sure. I don't think any secondary characters died, but, I mean...
Weren't there ones who were left behind in the inn?
There was, Vadim. Vadim was left
right,
behind.
but Vadim lived.
Vadim lived.
But Vadim lived.
Yeah.
Oh, so this reminds me. Okay, so this reminds me of like the story that I was going to tell from second game, from July game. So Apocalypse happened back in June.
June. Yes, June. I'm sorry.
June, yeah, and then July was your game. Then at July game, we were trying to reestablish the circle. So we had this halfling character show up who was like, yeah, like I have these rituals. We're going to try and do up the circles, yada, yada, yada. Everyone follows along. We do this really hilariously fun ritual.
Oh,
that we were singing like Kumbaya, but instead of Kumbaya, it was like this poem about the water. It was weird. We were like waving our arms, but it was so funny. And then by the end of it, we noticed that there's a black sort of webbing around the water energy, sort of like grasping at it and clenching it, and like it's sort of alive. So that's kind of the state that the water circle is in right now.
Yeah.
But
because the things came, like you said, they destroyed the fairy circle, the water circle, and the earth circle.
So as we're trying to establish it, we're seeing that there's like some sort of remnant energy left behind. We still have yet to figure out exactly what it is. I have some research to do this game.
Yeah.
But Timian, who is
he was the previous water champion before you.
He was, yes. We love Timian. Timian's like my dad in game. Anyway, he's dabbled in void magic. So he sees this black energy around the water energy and sticks his hand in to see if it feels similar to void energy as research.
For science!
He lost all of his awareness.
No!
You didn't know this?
What?
He lost all of his awareness. He had to dump about 20 mana on the ground. Lost all of his spells, all of his magic. As of right now, I don't know if he's gotten it back yet, but as of right now, everything Timian has put into magic is moot. It's not working. So don't touch the circles right now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That would explain why he was like, does anyone have an essence mana? Because I was like, I think I have one, and I gave it to him. That might explain why he needed some mana.
I don't think he can, oh, maybe he got it back. But as far as I know, he just lost it all, and I haven't heard anything of him getting it back yet. I will find out this game, I guess.
That is so gross.
I'm so not ready for this game, but this chat is making me more excited for this game.
Definitely.
A game is in
4 days.
Not even. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Game is in like 2 days.
Oh my god. Mother of God.
I'm hoping this podcast goes up before a game because it's been long awaited. But I've been working a lot on actual things that make me money, so I have to prioritize them. And also, the story was almost finished editing, and then my computer decided to restart, and Premiere Pro decided not to save my files properly, so I lost a good chunk of what I had done. So we're hoping this goes up before game. If it doesn't go up before game, I'm so sorry. My life is a mess, as usual.
Nah, don't worry about it.
Yeah. Anything else you want to mention about Apocalypse?
This
is already like at an hour. Yeah, 52 minutes.
Well, sort of like, I want to talk about, because the Earth and the water circles are in the states that they are in, sort of like in a semi-destroyed state, but we're trying to reestablish them.
Mm-hmm.
The actual, like, the Earth has taken a hit as well as a result, right? So,
yeah, like, HOLDFAST is gross right now.
Yeah, like not just HOLDFAST, Applevale everywhere is like,
really?
Yeah, because the Earth circle is down, like, the very Earth itself feels like it's
like
rotten,
marshy.
Nothing can grow. We're losing our food supply, and because the water circle's down, the oceans are messed up. The lakes are drying up. It's chaos.
I did my best.
What?
I did my best.
I know you did. I know we all tried our best. But there's only so much thunder that I can do. The air circle took a big hit as well. It didn't get destroyed, but it did take a big hit. And the air
and the fire
feels,
circle as well, yeah.
Yeah, the air in like the community and everywhere else just feels stale. I don't know how the fire circle has affected the Earth, but I'm sure it has. But because these circles went down, the very Earth itself is being affected by it, and it's rotting away. We need to figure out how to establish these elemental circles back again if we're gonna get the Earth back on track.
Yeah, Asher, ever since the water circle has gone down, has been very weak, and it's like no matter how much she drinks, she's always thirsty.
Yeah.
Which is relatable. Yeah, so that's kind of the state HOLDFAST is in right now. We're not doing so good.
Yeah, we don't even have any of our, like, all of our magic items are almost moot right now. Magic is just hard to come by.
Yeah. It's
we're in a sorry state, but I mean,
we'll fix it. I don't want to say that so because I'm like, we'll fix it.
Just so nonchalantly.
Maybe.
Nah, we'll be fine. We just gotta take some time, dig a little bit, and do some research and like in-game research and figure out what needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And we've always managed to pull it off before, so yeah, I think we'll be okay.
I have that weird anime face right now that's like trying, like smiling, but has the big teardrop on the forehead. Like
I don't even know what face that is, and I watch anime. I don't know what it's called.
So what's coming up this game? Last game I went home early, and I know that, listen, I don't want to get into too much what happened last game because I think I want to write the next story about everything that happened last game.
I want to help with the story next time too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, do you want to write about that? You could take charge in it and we'll do it together.
Okay.
Yeah, just tell me the story last game.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to get too much into what happened last game, but what are you most excited about this game?
Well, unfortunately, okay, so here's sort of where I stand with this upcoming game. After the Epochalypse happened and we sort of like saved the Earth, Kron knows that the entirety of the world got hit at the exact same time, but HOLDFAST got hit the hardest.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, in game, 2 days after the apocalypse happened, Kron went back to his clan in the Dragonspire Mountains, which, for map reference, is basically the Northwest Territories.
Right. It's a long journey.
Oh yeah, he's still on that journey right now, so Kron's not even coming back this game.
Who you gonna play?
I'm gonna cast for a game, I think.
Damn.
I know, and I don't know when Kron's gonna be back. I have to role play with Sharon about it, right? So she'll basically decide when Kron comes back.
I've been considering, because I have my concerns about even bringing the circles back. I know that the circles will temporarily put the world in a better place, but are we going to open more rifts by doing this? Are we going to have to go through all of this again? Like, what are the repercussions if we open these circles again?
I guess that's what we're gonna have to find out.
Well, my plan was...
right now, the world is dying, and the immediate fix is the elemental circles.
Yeah, so my whole plan was to have Asher leave for a couple games, just to go maybe do some research. She's not really the researchy type, but for now I've just been kind of like stuck in HOLDFAST because I'm so weak, and I have like a responsibility to the circle, and I don't want to leave it.
Yep. That makes sense.
But I'm trying to do as much in-game research as I can, but nobody really knows anything, so that's been difficult. So this game, I think I'm like, honestly, there's nothing that I have, like, besides talking to a lot of people, because I have a lot of people that I need to talk to about a lot of things. There's nothing that I'm specifically excited about. I think I'm just excited to like go camping and like see my friends that I haven't seen in a while, and just like the general LARP vibe I'm excited about.
Yeah. Right now, it doesn't seem like there's a clear story other than, like, restore the elemental circles. This just sort of seems like a...
Will you guys be bringing back anything you brought in?
Last game?
Yeah.
Oh, probably not.
Oh, man.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, we know... Actually, I'll get into that during...
We'll get into that next episode. I'm excited about that one.
Recurring NPC bosses, if you know what I mean.
They for those of you who didn't listen to the last episode, Tony... and our friends Alex and Mike and Jess, and who else casted with you guys?
Well, I mean, we had regular cast at our disposal.
And then, yeah.
Basically, the only regular cast that played that game was Sharon, and
right.
we had the resources of the rest of the cast.
Exactly. So,
but
basically, the four of them wanted to give Sharon a chance to play, and they also wanted to try their hand at bringing a LARP to life, and you guys did a really good job. I couldn't stay for the whole thing. We had to leave early, but we left late Saturday night, but you guys did a really fantastic job. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
You guys really killed it.
We worked so hard.
The mod that I did get to participate in was one of the funnest mods I've seen since the Elf Debacle.
The Nero mod, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
really fun for me.
That was a crazy amount of fun. I got to use a bow and arrow for the first time.
Like, I was so proud of you. I was like, look at him over there. He's killing it. He's really doing it.
I'm killing it. I'm killing villagers. It's
and Alex, time. Okay.
Alex plays a great
we have to wait until next episode, but there's so many funny stories I want to tell about. He plays such a good villain. Okay, anyway, all right, before we go, I just wanted to jump into some more businessy sided stuff. Guys, for those of you who don't know anything about like running a YouTube channel or like running a podcast or anything like that, that's valid because I didn't know much about it either. But right now, the way YouTube works is you have to have over 4,000 watch minutes and you have to have 1,000 subscribers to apply to become monetizable. And basically, what becoming monetizable means is you can put ads on your video and then you can collect money from that AdSense. And we are very interested in doing that because we want to bring you higher quality podcasts. We want to be able to devote the time to creating these podcasts, and we want to we put a lot of time and effort into these, and we would just love it to if it brought in even just a little bit of money for newer equipment or things to put in the studio, like sound dampening, audio foam, I have a whole wish list of things. So right now, if you listen on a podcasting network, this probably doesn't apply to you, but if you want to go ahead and do this anyway, it would be a big help. We have over 5,000 watch minutes.
Holy crap.
Yeah, we're doing great for watch minutes. It came very quickly, and we're super excited about it. Last time I checked in with you guys, we had just a little over 4,000. Right now we're hovering around 5,000, which is super exciting. But we don't have many subscribers, mainly because the podcasts are so long that they rack up the minutes, but they don't really rack up the subscribers. So please subscribe if you're listening to this on YouTube, even if you're listening to this on a podcasting app. If you can just check out our YouTube channel. I think it's just Erika Tobin on YouTube. Just search just search Erika Tobin HOLDFAST on YouTube. You should be able to find it. Not only are we going to be posting podcasts, but I have some LARP vlogs that are going to be going up soon. Hopefully, I have some other kinds of things that are going to be going up. We went and we explored a abandoned amusement park recently.
Are you talking about the one in Trinity?
Yeah.
Oh, that's where I grew up.
Did you ever see that amusement park?
I went to that amusement park when it was open, and I was a kid.
What year did it close?
I have no idea. I just remember going when I was 6 years old.
Oh my gosh, I'm shook. We should have brought you with us. We went out to Trinity, and anyway, you'll see it. You'll see in the video. But yeah, we're gonna be posting a bunch of stuff on that channel for you guys to watch. Super excited about it. We're super excited to keep making these podcasts, and
I love doing these podcasts.
Yeah, we want to bring it to the next level. And on that note, also, we can't really get into details yet, but this past month, a lot of why things have been late, and a lot of why things have been. I mean, number one reason is we're both busy and have to prioritize other things over the podcast.
Like our career.
Exactly. But also we've been doing a little bit of behind the scenes hustling to try and create some opportunities where we can make this podcast higher quality. We don't want to record in a echoey room anymore. Like right now we're in my living room, and it's very echoey in here, probably terrible audio quality. So we've been working on some things. So hopefully the podcast is going to be coming to you 100% better. Yeah. So the gist of that rant was, please go subscribe on YouTube. Please subscribe on whatever apps you're watching from or you're listening from, especially if you're returning regularly. It'll just update you every time that we post, and that way you can get it right away. And we'd really appreciate it because, we want to keep this thing going.
Exactly. We love doing it. We love doing it for you guys, and we hope that you're enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. I've been getting good feedback.
Yeah.
Even from strangers.
I've been getting some good feedback from my dad, and I didn't think that in a million years he would ever watch or listen to something like this. But he loves it. He loves the stories especially, and I just want to say congrats to you. The stories are phenomenal.
Thank you. Thank you. They take a while to write, and
which is why I want to be a lot more of an acting force in those stories.
Absolutely,
just,
please
give
do.
Give you some time to
I'm down. Yeah. But yeah, that's why we would love to have it so we can devote more of our time to this. And yeah, that would just be great. So just subscribe. Please share it if you can, or if you want to. If you're not too weird about sharing LARP things. And just like, keep commenting and liking the videos. That means a lot to us. And we see on the, we have like a statistics app thing for our podcast app. So we see like when you guys download it and like what episodes are doing better than others. Like this last episode, not episode 5, episode 4. That's like our most watched episode so far.
Really?
Yeah, that one's doing really well. So yeah, we keep track of all that stuff, and we really appreciate it when you guys show your support and love. And we love you so much, and we're so happy to have you guys. And Tony, I love you too.
I love you too, Erika.
All right, so Tony,
I guess this is it.
I'll see you at game.
I'll see you at game, Erika.
Bye.
Have a good day, guys.
I'm gonna press the button to make this stop recording.